What's up, Comic Universe? DPZ rolling solo once again with another comic review, and this time around I'm going to be talking about DC meets Looney Tunes. I guess you could call this the first volume, because now we have another set that I have yet to read. But yeah, I finally got the collected first volume of DC meets the Looney Tunes. I gotta say, guys, I like this. I really enjoyed this. This was a fun, little these were fun little adventures that were just enjoyable. Like, it's just what it's exactly what it makes itself out to be, which is a fun, which are these fun rides. Some of them don't make a lot of sense, but at the same time, you don't really care. Like, there's just this kind of, yeah, we know what we're doing is completely goddamn ridiculous. But at the same time, you're like, I don't care, this is fun. Because it's very obvious that the writers of this comic wanted to do, like, these really just out-of-the-box thinking, rather than, oh, it's Elmer Fudd hanging out with Batman, and nothing else. That's, there's more to it. I mean, we kind of get that, but there's more to it than that. And that's what I like, is that this is kind of like a multiverse kind of thing for DC and Looney Tunes, which is funny because DC is considered to be now a part of the DC multiverse, apparently. Along with the Hanna-Barbera characters, they're all part of the DC multiverse now. Yeah. Yeah, so these are just fun little one-and-done stories, that I'll talk about, and let's get started with the first one, which is Bugs Bunny and the Legion of Superheroes. Yeah, so Bugs Bunny and the Legion of Superheroes centers around Supergirl, who's dying, from a disease that can only be cured in the 20th century, and they believe they can bring Superman to help them. However, they don't bring Superman, they bring Bugs. Yeah, and it turns out that, yeah, there's some weird shit that goes on. There's actually a lot of fun, poking fun at a lot of the lore of Legion of Superheroes. There's a lot of, like, fun little jabs and all the angst that was throughout the Legion comics. They make fun of that a lot, and a lot of the how dark DC could be in the movies. They do poke. It's all fun and games. If anything, this comic feels the most DC, like the most Looney Tune. Like, this one feels like, yeah, this is clearly the Bugs Bunny from the Looney Tunes, and not like some other different version, as we see in the other comics. So yeah, I will admit that since there are backup stories that go along to fill out the pages, the one focusing on the Legion of Superheroes and Bugs Bunny, that one is pretty much a recap of the story you just read, and it's kind of boring. I wish they did a little more with it. So yes, the second story is about Marvin the Martian meeting Martian Manhunter, the last sons of Mars. And this version of Marvin has been going around the multiverse, blowing up different versions of Earth after his Mars was destroyed by Earth. It's a neat story written by Steve Orlando, who's actually writing a maxi series for Martian Manhunter. And it's very clear that he gets the character and, how lonely he can be. And it does feel like Marvin the Martian, just a little more extreme. I don't want to give too much away for that story, because it is pretty heartbreaking at the end. It's kind of a heartbreaking, but it's still a good story, but it's heartbreaking. And who knew you could do a heartbreaking story with Marvin the Martian? So yeah, it was probably one of my... probably might be my second favorite story of the comics. But yeah, anyway. So following that, we have, the backup story, by the way, is it's very Looney Toony. There's a word I just used. Involving Marvin and Martian Manhunter, in very Looney Tune shenanigans. So, the next one was Lobo with Wily, Coyote, and Roadrunner. And this one, the artwork is done by Kelly Jones, and it's definitely more of a horror aspect. And Wily gets some fun stuff in here. Although, admittedly, a lot of the interaction between Lobo and Wily is very minimal, and they don't really intersect a lot. This is definitely more of a Wily, Coyote, and Roadrunner story than it is them meeting Lobo. Although the backup story that acts as a sequel to the first story is really funny. I really enjoyed that one. But yeah, it's a serviceable story. There's no comic in here I hated. The backup stories are a totally different thing, but main story-wise, every one of them were pretty strong. Every one of them were pretty strong in their own rights. Also, we had, and that is very evident in probably my third favorite of the stories, which is Jonah Hex with Yosemite Sam and Foghorn Leghorn. And this is a different version of Foghorn and Sam, who are more or less two guys brought together by, and get into shenanigans with Jonah Hex. And it's kind of fun. It's written like the funny part is that it's written like it's played for serious. It's played for serious because it's Jimmy Palmiotti, who is best known for his run on Jonah Hex, writing Jonah Hex with Yosemite Sam and Foghorn Leghorn in their dialogue. You can almost hear Sam and Foghorn's dialogue in this comic. You could definitely hear a lot of the dialogue for, both characters. But yeah, it's kind of it's probably also the most violent of the one-shots. It's definitely got some blood to it. I mean, the comic opens with Sam mowing down some of the people who were going to turn on him. It's a hilarious story, but the best one is, of course, the one everyone talks about from this collection, which is Batman and Elmer Fudd, written by Tom King and artwork by Lee Weeks. The best part, much like with Yosemite Sam and Jonah Hex, is that the main focus is that it's played for jokes, that we still have Elmer Fudd talking like Elmer Fudd, but it's almost written like a Sin City comic, and it's hysterical. That's the funny part. The story centers around Elmer Fudd, who's looking for the man who murdered his girlfriend, Silver St. Cloud. And if you're a die-hard Batman fan, then you know who Silver St. Cloud is in here. And Batman is caught in the crossfire, literally. This was when Tom King was starting his run on Batman, and you definitely see a lot of Tom King-isms in here, but it shows that, once again, Tom King was like the perfect guy to write Batman. For those who don't know, I really enjoyed Tom King's Batman. It's also funny to note that this comic is actually considered to be in continuity with Tom King's run. We do get mentions of Porky's. Yeah, that's the actual bar in here. We do get references to it in this comic. So technically, yeah, this version of Elmer Fudd and these very human versions of the Looney Tunes, you could argue are a part of the DC Universe. Yeah, Bugs Bunny is a part of the main DC Universe. That's a crazy fucking thing I just said. The backup story also makes fun of how Tom King likes to repeat dialogue, and it's very self-aware. It also plays on the whole rabbit season, duck season kind of thing. It's hilarious, and again, Tom King was really good on the humor and really likes to poke jokes at himself. But yeah, it's definitely the best story. It really hits home of how it plays serious, but at the same time doesn't take itself seriously. But again, you have Elmer Fudd speaking as Elmer Fudd in like something out of Sin City. That's the best part of this comic. Hang on, let me read some of the dialogue for you real quick. Sorry, I had to break out the comic real quick. Let me read some of the dialogue for you. Why does every story have an end? I couldn't tell you. All I know is that everything has a season. I can't do Elmer Fudd that good. You just got to read the signs. Duck season, rabbit season. Then one day you woke up and you realize the season is yours. Yeah, I know I can't do Elmer Fudd all that good, but you see what I'm saying? There's a good reason, and I could go more into it, of why this is probably the best story of the collection. Batman Elmer Fudd is probably the definite a favorite of the collection, and I can see why. But yeah, if you haven't already, I know it sounds hokey, but definitely I would say give it a shot. I definitely would say give this comic a shot. Give it at least a read. At least try to find the one-shots. Try it if you're not interested in getting the whole collection, which is $19.99, plus tax and all that. I would say at least try to hunt down the one-shots themselves, just to, you know, get a feel of it. The second volume I can't tell you because I haven't read it yet, so I can't really give you full thoughts on that. But yeah, for the first volume though, definitely I highly recommend it. If you're a fan of Looney Tunes and you want to see some just fun, wacky shenanigans and really out there ideas of Looney, it's not just cartoons hanging out with, you know, DC heroes. They make these stories their own. These writers do make these stories their own, and it really shows. But anyway, guys, so there's pretty much my review. If you're new here, remember to Hulk smash that subscriber button and be a part of Earth's mightiest subscribers. And share this video and our others here on Facebook or other forms of social media. I'm DPZ, and we'll see you right here once again in the YOUniverse.